Welcome to Caleb's Basketball Pod. A lot's went down since the last time we recorded. Let's start with some of our top headlines from the last time we recorded to now. We heard that Jalen Brunson is expected to miss possibly late March and maybe not return till early to mid-April with an ankle sprain. So just from that news and the information gathered there, I'm assuming it's a high ankle sprain, which we know is really like ligament tears, and it keeps you sidelined a lot longer than a standard sprained ankle. But I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think right now we're seeing more from Mikal Bridges with Brunson down. So I think that's what you want if you're New York, not Brunson down, but you want more from Bridges, because when the Knicks were taking off and when they were doing really well and winning like 9 straight at one point, Bridges was a key part to that. But then a little bit after that, Bridges starts not contributing as much. You know what you're getting from Brunson, you know what you're getting from Towns, and you know what you're getting from OG. And as I've spoke on before, Josh Hart's just like that Swiss Army knife of a player. So he just does a little bit of everything. Well, you know what you're getting from those guys. We weren't sure what we were getting from Bridges. We're seeing a lot more from him as of late, which is great. And great if you're the Knicks. And it gives Brunson some time to rest and rest up for the playoffs. As you know, Tom Thibodeau, he has a habit of overplaying guys. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, and I think they will hold on to their fourth spot. And I also don't think there's a chance they catch Boston with or without Brunson, and I think they'll hold on to that fourth spot with or without Brunson. So I think they're kind of locked in where they're going to be, and that's fine. You get home court advantage for first round. Second round, you're probably playing in Boston, but this is what you want. This is your rival. They won a championship last year. You want the opportunity to take them down. Speaking of New York, we also seen a really good game, defensive game, but still good game nonetheless in Oakland, as we saw the Golden State Warriors win 97-94 over the Knicks on Saturday night. And we're seeing just how good the Golden State Warriors are. They're on a roll. They're on a streak. And speaking of streaks, the Minnesota Timberwolves are on like a 7 or 8 game win streak. Very impressive. They're picking it up. They've won their last 13 straight with Julius Randle in the lineup. And that's great. And they're proving me wrong, because I was saying it wasn't working with Julius Randle. A lot of NBA media, former player, media personnel, they were saying the same thing. It wasn't working with Julius Randle, but they're proving all of us wrong right now. For the time being, we'll see how they look in the playoffs. That's obvious. But we also seen, speaking of streaks, we seen the Orlando Magic on Sunday in Cleveland's franchise record 16 straight win streak. That was a very good back and forth game. I have to hand it to the Orlando Magic. They came in with a plan, and they really not limited the 3-point attempts, but limited the good looks at threes. There was a lot of contesting on those threes. Cleveland is a 3-point shooting team. You want to limit the contest as much as possible, but if nothing else, you just want to contest every time. You want to eliminate the attempts, but if nothing else, you want to contest every time. They will contest nearly every time. So you have handed to Orlando's game plan. They win Cleveland, and they took care of business, and they ended that win streak, and it's building momentum for them for the end of the season, because they're trying. I don't think at this point they're going to reach Detroit, but you can still reach that 7th seed. That's not out of the question, and you can at least have home court advantage in the play-in and look to get that 7th seed, play Boston. But if you don't get it, you get a shot to get that 8th seed and play Cleveland. And either way, you have a win over both Boston and Cleveland right now in the regular season. So either way, you have to know you're giving yourself a shot here. And we know how the Magic play, and we know how Mosley coaches them. They're going to put up fight no matter who they play against, whether it's Cleveland or Boston. So interesting development there, and it'll be very interesting to see where Orlando lands in the playoffs. And But you can't count out a team like Miami that's sitting at the 9th seed either. So again, just interested in keeping a tab on all of that right now. Chicago started one away with that 10th seed. They're creating some space from Brooklyn. They had a 5-game win streak, and they even beat Brooklyn in that 5-game win streak. So they're creating some distance. Speaking of play-ins, we've been watching it. This Suns team can't even crack a play-in right now. They're in disarray. The Phoenix Suns are in disarray. They can't crack a play-in spot. They are sitting at 11th. The Dallas Mavericks have been playing without most of their roster, and the Phoenix Suns still can't pass them. And to be honest, with how bad things are looking in Phoenix, we're seeing multiple times, we're seeing Mike Budinger argue with Kevin Durant. First off, like their teammates, this is your coach. He's your player. You guys are arguing like your teammates or your buddies or something like that. Like, there should not be an argument between a player and a coach. There should be a, you do this is what I'm telling you to do, and you do it. And on the other end, but Budinger's he's not creating that distance. He's not leading this team. You can tell he's not leading. You can tell he has none of his team's respect. You can tell when Devin Booker called him out, Devin Booker did respect him. When Booker's like, he said, hey, I need you players be quiet, and so they listen to the coaches more. You want a leader on the court. But Budinger said he's not a psychiatrist, and I'm not saying you have to be, but I think you do have to understand people and players, and it's not just about plays, and we're seeing that, and we're seeing just notoriously Budinger's really good with the play call. Did a great job in San Antonio. Really good with the play call. He is not great at handling players and players' attitudes and just players as people in general. And I think to be an NBA coach or any type of coach, you need to be able to handle that. And I don't think he does a great job at that. And me personally, I'm not huge on his style, because I don't think he leads fully. I think he'd be better off if he did more of the getting to know his players, understanding what makes them tick, knowing how to talk to them and how to get them to follow him and lead them by example. And I just don't think he does a great job on that. Mind you, this is from the outside looking in, but it's just the stuff you see, and the fact that him and KD are arguing back and forth like that. It's just kind of proving what I'm saying. But to be an NBA coach, you have to understand people. You have to understand how they are. You have to understand the attitude. You have to understand what makes them tick and what you can say to get the best out of them, not what you can say to get them feeling like they're being attacked by you. That's not it. And I just don't feel like he does an amazing job with that. But even more than that, I think the numbers and the coaching and the record is proven that I'm correct on that. But hey, again, it's from the outside looking in, and I see this Suns team just imploding in the offseason, to be honest. I see Kevin Durant getting traded elsewhere. I see Devin Booker getting traded elsewhere. I think it'll probably just be Bradley Beal with a huge contract, because no one else is going to want it. And then it's just going to be Bradley Beal and rebuilding in young players and picks, and the Suns may be in for a long, long rebuild with how that roster's built right now. And in my opinion, it's best to start it now. But we'll see. There's still some there's still some games to be played. We aren't at the play-in yet. They're starting to slip away. I am sticking with my prediction, and it's a little bold and it's a little tough, but I love how Chauncey Billups has his guys playing in Portland. I just love it. I love what they're doing, and I'm still predicting that by the time this season's done, Portland's going to be that 10th play-in. I see them moving upward and playing hard and trying and competing. I see Dallas having too many injuries to consistently compete, and Phoenix, like I just mentioned, I'm not sure what's going on with them. It's not a great situation. So I'm still predicting Portland be that last play-in out west. Something else to keep an eye on, though, is the Sacramento Kings have lost 4 straight games. It's not really surprising. Chicago tried that duo of Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, and instead of Sabonis, they had Vucevic. there, and it just didn't work. It did add 2 wins. Its playing styles are a little conflicting play styles. I want to say a lot of I need to have a ball in my hands. No, I need to have a ball in my hands, and a lot of just not understanding who takes the back seat and really how to play together as a team. And like I said, we saw it in Chicago, we're seeing it in Sacramento, so it's not all that surprising that they're not working out, because they always did work out. And the Western Conference is notoriously tougher towards the bottom than the East too. So the fact that it didn't work out and they stayed in the bottom of the East, it's not surprising that it's not working out and they're staying near the bottom of the West play-in area as well as they did the East. So, like I said, none of that's really surprising, but there's some stories to keep an eye on. And we have a great week of NBA action this week. We have a lot of good games coming up, especially with playoff positioning around. And you also, still at the top, you still have that little competition between Oklahoma and Cleveland too, to see who finishes with the best record and who gets full home court advantage throughout the full playoffs. So interesting stories and a lot to watch and a lot to see. But we're also getting close to playoff time, and that's where the really fun competitive basketball shows up. So just keep watching. I'll keep you updated on here. So just keep tuning in, and I'll see you next time.